Hi everyone, it's Raylene again. And today I would like to speak about the episode of Mr. Potato Head versus the Midget. Yeah. Well, you can tell. We all know, Australians know who the Potato Head is, don't we? Yeah. That's our affectionate name for Peter Dutton. And well, my affectionate word for Bill Shorten is the Midget. Yes, the Midget. And well, it's become an even more affectionate word for him since he decided to weaponize the word. Because apparently, midget is on par with the N-word. So apparently, midget is as bad as the N-word. So maybe we should call him the M. And well, you know what, Bill Shorten, I see what you've done. Because you know what? I've been calling my children me midget bosses since they were babies. Because, you know, like affectionately, like, you know, little mini me's, you know, little mini people, little, that are your bosses because they are when they're little. So anyway, Bill Shorten, I want to know, with all this talk of breach of constitution, whether you're in breach of that if you become Prime Minister, if you are ineligible to be in Parliament. You know why I say that? Remember how you changed the law? You know, the Fair Work Act for Ramsay Health? Yeah. When I was a whistleblower in the federal court. I wonder if that disqualifies you or makes you ineligible or in breach of the Constitution. Fancy that. Fancy a minister of workplace changing the Fair Work Act for a private company. Yes. So anyway, on to the story about ineligibility. Well, apparently that's what we're waiting on now, the Solicitor General, about Peter Dutton. And well, let's talk about Peter Dutton and apparently the left-leaning of, or the right-leaning, I should say, of the Liberal Party. Well, we have seen the Prime Ministers continuously change, whether they're Labour or whether they're Liberal. And now, you know, Australians are sick of it. We all know Australians are sick of it. But let's analyse that for a moment. What does that have to do? We've seen all of them. The common denominator is they've all come in there and they've all changed up things and totally fucked everything over in Australia. Yeah. Even Julia Gillard. You know what she did? You know who's responsible for NAPLAN? Yeah, Julia Gillard. Who benefits from NAPLAN? A UK English company called Pearson's. Yeah, those same textbooks as the textbooks that you see in schools all around the world. Wow. Yeah. So basically, the way I see it is all these politicians, Kevin Rudd, what did Kevin Rudd do? He totally fucked up the whole health system. Yeah, we can contribute and thank him for the 4-hour rule throughout Australia. Yep, that's Kevin Rudd. So then on to Tony Abbott. Well, Tony Abbott, he's seen as, he's like, oh, the racist, right-leaning, and now apparently his partner in crime is Dutton. Well, actually, I believe his partner in crime has always been Dutton. But, you know, and he wants to sell the Australian, the English Australian, you know, that, you know, he's anti-immigration and all this sort of stuff. And he might think, and the Liberal Party might think that Dutton is on point and that Australians are fed up with their immigration system. And yes, they are. But remember, people, he used to be immigration minister. And let's also talk about his partner in crime, Tony Abbott. Well, when Tony Abbott came along and Dutton was his immigration minister, they changed up all the borders, didn't they? Yeah. Sold Australian borders to the Chinese. And we just saw this huge influx of migration. And that's thanks to Malcolm Turnbull. Yeah. So instead of seeing boats like, in Europe, they've got this immigration crisis in Europe because of boats and refugees or economic refugees from Africa just crossing over the Mediterranean. No, not in Australia. In Australia, we had Malcolm Turnbull very calmly state that if you wanted to come to Australia, you can apply to work in Australia. Yeah, like work in Australia as modern slaves. Yeah, from India. Yep. And you can even use your ABN number, which is an Australian business number. Who would have thought that as a migrant, you could use that? Not an Australian citizen. The Australian business number can be used by somebody on any visa, I suppose, and work in Australia without paying any tax, without that business. Lucky for those businesses. Hey, all those multinationals don't even have to pay people's taxes. So they get the cheapest chips, mate. Yeah, so why would you employ Australians when you can make people from India slave away and do everything that you want them to do and don't even have to bother about the laws and what, that Fair Work Act? Yeah. Hello, Bill Shorten, Fair Work Act. Remember, buddy, changing it, hey? Yeah, they all work hand in hand. There's no Liberal Party, Labor Party. They're all part of the same bird. It's called Rupert Murdoch. Yep. And so, well, that's what I've come to. I've come to talk about what are we going to do? How are we going to change this up? How is Australians going to get a Prime Minister that is for Australians, for the people? When? The last time I think Australia ever saw that was with Gough Whitlam. All the policies that he put through was all about the people. Yeah, the people. When have we even fucking heard the word people at all? In any of the legislations, any of the policies, nothing. It's always been business, 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 and then we've been fed the shit about jobs. If I hear jobs again, I'm going to scream. I think all Australians are going to bloody scream. You know why? Because as a statistician, that all started to happen when the ABS was corrupted. Yeah, corrupted in their analyses of what defines somebody that's employed. Because we've got underemployment in Australia. You could do a few hours a week and be classified as being employed. Wow, oh my God, the employment level is at a record low. What a load of shit. There is people that are doing 3 or 4 jobs and trying to have children on casual employment, not getting paid for sick leave and holiday pay, just slaving away. It has corrupted families. And not just that, they talk about all this stuff about people are at home and they're isolated and they're depressed and all this pharmaceutical bullshit. No, people aren't out in the cafes because of gang violence and all this nonsense. People aren't in the cafes and the restaurants because they don't have the fucking money to go there. They don't. They don't have the money because they're not earning enough money, because they don't work enough hours, they're not being paid for sick or holidays or anything. So we have a massive snowball effect. There's all these small businesses all closing down and stuff, especially in the eateries and that. No one's going out anywhere. People have lost their purpose and their good feeling. You see people, they not even making an effort with their appearance and dressing up. And yeah, that looks like depression. It does. But when you look closer, it's about purpose. Where do they fit in? And you know what? When all this Australian politics is all about big business, it's not even about small businesses or the regular Joe blog on the street. It's not. We are in a situation right now in Australia that something's got to give. Something massive has got to give, and we need someone with integrity. And that isn't the Mr. Potato Heads and the midgets of the world. So if I was Malcolm Turnbull, I'd think real hard about who you're going to put forward as Prime Minister. Yeah, for the vote. Because you know what? And you know what? I would say that to the Liberal Party as well, the Labour Party. You guys better think about that too. Because we are in a situation right now, if the Labour doesn't change leadership as well, we're heading for some bad stuff. Like seriously, like you people better pull your finger out and do something for the people of Australia. Not the bankers, not the banks, not the big corporations, not the businesses, not the oil and gas companies, for the people of Australia. No more bought politician bitches. Australia says no to bought politicians. And yes, to somebody who's going to lead the people, the country, with no vested interest.